Well, another week has passed, so it's time for another update. So let's just quickly start this up and have a look. I think looking at it visually, I'm not sure much has changed actually. It looks just the same as it did before. Most of the work I've been doing this week has been to fix problems. I had some real problems with the messaging system that passes the messages between the graphical user interface and the back end, and the messages that travel between the back end and the comms driver. And that was due to just a stupid, well, it wasn't just a coding error. I was actually going about it the wrong way. So I've changed all that, and now we've got consistent messaging. So for example, when I switch between these blogs now, it correctly changes the blog name instantly, and I haven't had to put in any stupid delays which I had to put in before. The other thing you'll notice is that we've now got frequencies associated with the blogs. This is to get ready for the fact that we may introduce a scanning mechanism which scans across multiple frequencies, and obviously a blog might exist on one frequency or it might exist on another frequency. You can see that the selecting the blogs is changing the frequency here, and I don't know if you can hear in the background. Let's see if I keep quiet when I do this one. You can hear my radio switching. So it's correctly commanding JS8Call, and that is correctly commanding the radio. The other thing which has taken me some time to sort out is the correct reflection back through this whole chain of rig settings to the interface that you're looking at. So for example, if I reach over now and twiddle the dial on my radio, you can see that now it correctly tracks the frequencies as I change them. So that's working correctly. The other thing that's working correctly now is this. If I change the offset, you can see that it's changing the offset correctly here. That's something that wasn't working correctly but now is. So yeah, nothing particularly exciting, really just mainly tidying up. So I don't remember if I'd already introduced the menu bar to you last time, but up here you can see there's a menu bar. I'm really sorry that the print is probably quite small, and unfortunately I don't seem to have, I use a utility called Zoom It to zoom in, but I don't seem to have that installed on here. But anyway, let me show you. It's going to have a settings menu, sub-menu. It doesn't do anything at the moment. And the other thing I've added is the selection of the band frequency from a menu just here. Again, although I've got the menu in place, I haven't linked it up to actually do the selection. Although I have to say that is a really simple thing for me to do, so that will probably be the next thing I do. So the things I plan to do next are link up this band setting. You can't change the offset. There isn't an API command into JS8Call that changes the offset. At least as far as I can tell, there isn't. So we can't put an offset selection thing in this interface. I'm not sure that really matters, quite honestly. But anyway, we can't do that. Then after I've done the band selection, I'll probably do the settings submenu, and I'll move the settings, which are sort of semi-hard coded at the moment. They get set up when you run the script that sets up the database. So I'll put that in here, and actually I want to change the structure of the settings table in the database. I've done a really stupid thing where I've got one row and a column for every setting, which is all very well, but every time you want to extend the number of settings, you've got to add a column, which means you've got to you have to copy the table, copy it back. It's just a pain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I should have done in the first place, and every setting will be a name value pair. So there'll be a name of the setting and a value for the setting in the database, and that will simplify all of that. So we'll do that. Other than that, I think the only other thing I would like to do is this structure, this file structure that I'm using for development for the code. It's not particularly intuitive, and even I find myself wandering around in the code looking for some of the functionality. I'd like to reorganize it so that it's easier to follow. Maybe it could be just a matter of producing decent documentation, which I started to write, but I must admit I haven't done anything on in recent weeks actually. So I'll do something on that, because we need something that is a better indication of how the code works and how you can use it. And I also need to produce some just straightforward user documentation. How do you use this utility, this client software? But I think past that, I'm not going to add any more functionality until we start to get some testing of this. And my idea is that I know we have JS8Call weekends or JS8 weekends where people are using JS8 to communicate with each other. I'd like to try and piggyback onto one of those weekends, and I'll certainly stand up a server, a microblog server, and we'll see if we can use it in anger from a number of places. My biggest challenge in doing that is that I've got a racing car test next week. Then I go to Australia for 2 weeks because I'm going to see my son, who I haven't seen for 3 or 4 years. And when I come back, I've got another race, the first race of the season at the end of April. So somehow I've got to slot this test of this client and of the microblogging into that sort of timetable. And I don't know which dates the JS8Call group tests are on. Anyway, I think I've droned on for long enough. The good news is everything looks fine. All seems to be working fine. I'm happier with. I was a bit concerned it was a bit flaky until I figured out this messaging issue. But now I've figured that out, I think it's quite solid. So I'm a bit happier about everybody, having a go with it and trying it out. So as usual, please give me your thoughts if you have any. And I look forward to updating you next week.